Dear students, welcome to lecture 5 of choppers and AC voltage controller. Till now, we covered choppers in depth, which includes basics of DC to DC converter, realization of buck converter, later boost converter, control strategies for these choppers, then one quadrant, two quadrant, and four quadrant operations of choppers, as well as multi-phase choppers, means class E chopper, and key point of choppers. Means we discussed about that why to chop, how to chop, what are different quadrant operations, how voltage can be reduced from source voltage, or how it can be boosted. It's not buck only, but it is boost. And most of the times it is buck boost arrangement. Means as per the requirement, voltage is reduced or voltage is boosted. Now, after that, after going through these choppers, let's turn to another interesting point in DC to DC converters is switched mode power supply. It's nothing but a converter only where input voltage is DC, output voltage is DC, but additional block in switch mode power supply is it converts AC to DC first and then DC to DC. Let's try and understand what SMPS is. As the name indicates, it's a switch mode power supply, means the devices will operate in the switching mode instead of the active region in a LPS. So what SMPS is? It's a closed loop control, basically a closed loop control for regulating output. Uses PWM, frequency modulation, or a phase modulation. Typically uses control ICs from Unitrode or Maxim or microcontrollers, microprocessors, or even the DSP processors. The basic building blocks or how it looks like input power, high frequency converters, output power to load, and a feedback circuit for voltage and current feedback. And this is typical control circuitry. These are reference and external signals, which drives the gate for the HF converters. Means if I want to put this in high voltage and low voltage circuit, then this part is low voltage or a control circuit. This part is high voltage circuit, and this is low. But typically, SMPS is used for low voltage applications. That's why this HV and LV both are the low voltage circuits. Now we can treat this as a power circuit and this as a control circuit. The key point is the transistors or the switches, MOS for example, will operate in the switching region at higher frequencies, typically higher than the 20 or 25K. So MOSFETs are the most popular devices used in the SMPS, and ratings right from 100 of watt to it can be available in 2K and 5K also, but rarely used. Most popular SMPS are right from 100 watt to 1K, 1 kilo. So why SMPS and what are its advantages? Lower weight because the major step down transformer is eliminated. Instead of that, high frequency ferrite core transformer is used. So lower weight and smaller size naturally. As it uses switching regulators, higher the efficiency and it lowers the power dissipation. As it acts on high frequency converter, there is no dependency on variation in the input voltage because anyway it take it and act as a switch only. So wide input AC voltage range, right from 130 volt, 140 volt to 270 to 80 volt will be acceptable. And the cost of SMPS for same power output is much less than the cost of linear power supply. But still linear power supplies are used in laboratories and where a continuous tracking is required, where switching harmonics are not desired, are not acceptable rather. In these cases, linear power supplies are still used. After these advantages, there are certain drawbacks or limitations of SNPS need to be uh, discussed. These are typically the switching losses and harmonics generated out of switching. And this switching frequency may interfere to the nearby circuitry. So these SMPS circuits are not preferred in antenna applications, communications, because chances of interference are more in these circuits, or a circuit like operational amplifiers or linear amplifiers where input supply is to be tracked for positive and negative voltage if it is a difference amplifier or a differential amplifier with swing in positive and negative. So these are limitations that in these certain cases it cannot be. In case of LPS, you need to just control the regulating element, that is series pass transistor. But in case of SMPS, you have to control the high frequency converter, the sensing circuit, error amplifier, then feedback and gate control. Means control becomes quite complex. So SMPS are typically either isolated type and non-isolated type. Non-isolated type means where switch is exposed to input voltage, higher input voltage, basically, and isolated type where there is isolation transformer and followed by isolation transformer, a power supply is. Then for non-isolated SMPS, we do have buck or step down converters, boost or step up converters, or buck boost converter in the all SMPS circuits. Then in SMPS circuits, the topologies used are forward converters and flyback converters as well as bridge converters. In bridge, we do have half bridge converters as well as full bridge converters. Now let us start with the forward converter. The basic forward converter looks like or can be configured like this is DC voltage. This can be unregulated DC, no issues. So DC voltage with ferrite core transformer, then this switch or MOSFET and a control circuit for that. At secondary winding, you do again have a rectifier. So this switch turns on and off will generate pulses in this transformer and which are mutually induced at secondary. When T1 conducts, this will be passed through LC filter and load is supplied with the output. Naturally, the filtered output after LC will be supplied to load, may have some ripple, whatever LC filter cannot eliminate or whatever LC filter cannot reduce. That amount of ripple will be there in this converter topology. If I break the operation of this basic forward converter in interval 1, what happens? See, EDC, transformer and a closed switch. So switch is on and diode 2 is off because no freewheeling action is taking place. And D1 has to on in order to feed to load. Means switch on, here high frequency pulses will be generated, D1 will be on, then LC filter followed by a load, means voltage across this capacitor is fed to the load with some ripple amount. So to draw the equivalent circuit is this NS by NP EDC at this point with LC filter and load. This is how interval 1 acts and feed to the load. What happens in interval 2 will be again interesting. See, switch is off. So naturally D1 is off because no pulses are generated. This acts as a open circuit. Because this switch is off, so this is not connected, acts as open circuit. So D1 is off because anode of D1 is not getting any supply from primary, means mutual induction from the primary. So D2 is on now. Why? Because in the interval 1, inductor has some energy. This capacitor is charged. So D2 is on and this forward converter acts like this D2, L and load. If I draw equivalent circuit for this, it will be like this LC circuit. This closed switch means D2 feeding to the load. Means in all the cases, remember load current is always from left to right. So this will be typical quadrant 1 operation like a buck converter. And this topology is referred as the forward converter, one of the widely used topology apart from bridge, naturally, in the SMPS. So this is interval 1 and 2 operations. Now let us turn to the AC voltage controller. Because in SMPS, typically advantages, drawbacks, comparison with LPS is more prominently covered to be covered in the syllabus. So we concentrated on forward converter topology. Buck boost converter is already covered in DC to DC converters, and we discussed advantages and drawbacks of the SMPS. So that's it for switch mode power supply. Because you studied this in detail with design equations in the electronic circuit design. So let us turn to the AC voltage controller. AC voltage controller means input is AC, output is AC. Means in short, this is AC to AC converter. So what it means? AC voltage control means nothing but vary the RMS value, not the average value. See, in DC to DC converter, we're speaking about average values. Now we'll speak about RMS values of the alternating voltage. So input is fixed voltage AC, fixed frequency AC, and output is variable voltage AC, but fixed frequency. Because if frequency is varied, it will not be AC voltage controller, rather it will be a cycloconverter. And cycloconverter is not in the syllabus, but in unit 6 we will discuss it in resonance converters and in connection with that matter. So here output voltage will be variable, but frequency at input and output will be same, means aligned frequency, 50 hertz. Then how to control it? Adjust the switch for on period and off period. Means instead of TRC, now we will have a PAC, phase angle control, which you studied in rectifiers unit 2. Is it? But here we need AC. So don't have switch only and convert all cycles into positive half cycles. Rather, whether it's positive, pass positive. If it's negative, pass negative. Means we need a bidirectional switches. So the basic scheme for AC voltage controller can be built like input source AC voltage with some voltage and frequency, which is fixed. This is black box of the controller, and output variable AC RMS. Now let's turn this black box to white box. What it will be? It will be a PAC circuit, bidirectional, can be realized using anti-parallel SCRs or MOSFETs or tracks. But where to prefer track and where to prefer SCRs is having its own places of application. So as we are restricting our discussion to single phase AC voltage controllers, we'll consider single cycle and its operation for a particular phase. Then in single phase AC voltage controller, we can have unidirectional half wave AC controllers or bidirectional or full wave AC controllers. Unidirectional or half wave AC controllers will typically behave somewhat like rectifiers, but they are not rectifiers. They will control first half and do nothing with the second half. In bidirectional, they will control both the half, positive half as well as a negative half. Same is for three-phase AC voltage controllers, but here unidirectional and bidirectional carry different meaning. Here, highest voltage carrying phase and lowest voltage carrying phase will be in the circuit. For unidirectional, only highest voltage carrying. For bidirectional, highest voltage carrying and lowest voltage carrying. So the technique for controlling the voltage is either phase control or phase angle control PSC, where switches or thyristors are connected to load circuit for a part of every input cycle. As we did, alpha is the firing angle. Before that, switch is off. At alpha, switch gets connected and it conducts for beta. The same theory of phase angle control applies here. AC supply is chopped during the thyristor off period for some period, means typically that delay angle alpha. Another technique which is quite interesting and we haven't studied is integral cycle control or on-off control. Means feed some cycles and don't feed some cycles. Let's see what is the change in RMS value. This is referred as on-off control or an integral cycle. In switches connect the load circuit to AC supply or source for few cycles of input and then disconnect for few cycles. Then how many cycles to keep the switches on and how many cycles to keep the switches off has to be decided. But remember here, cycle means one full cycle, positive as well as negative, and no control is exhibited. Only whatever minimum 2 volt is taken by the device, that will not be fed. But otherwise, the entire cycle is fed. And anyway, we neglected drop across power devices in power circuits because 2 volt into 30 volt is less than a percent. So it is conventionally. Let us realize it for resistive load. Consider that so typically resistive load as a heater or lamp dimmer or any such application where you want to have some heating application, typically dissipative application. So this is a VS, source voltage, current from voltage to source voltage to load. And this Vs plus and minus, though it is not to be indicated in SA, this is in order to uh, tell you that when positive half cycle is on, okay, this T1 will be turned on because it's forward bias after getting the proper gate supply. Then T1 is on, I0 means load current is flowing through this and goes to second point of the transformer. This is transformer second. Another way, when this point is the most positive in the circuit, load current is in opposite direction. T2 is turned on after the gate pulse, and this is the most negative point in the circuit. So current can be from left to right or from right to left. So it's a bidirectional direction. So what we did, we placed two SCRs in anti-parallel, not in parallel. Remember, they are not in parallel, they are anti-parallel in the opposite direction. And what we need to connect is one more snubber circuit over here, which can be common for both. Because to protect these switches against the high rate of rise of voltage, because the higher rate of rise of the voltage may accidentally turn on the switches as well. Uh, if it exceeds that limit, it will damage the switch permanently. So it will not just turn on, but rather enter into breakdown. So this RSS number is employed over here. Why anti-parallel SCRs are preferred? The natural reason is when one is conducting, another is off. So it gets some cooling period and recovery of the device. If there is a single device like a triac, there is no cooling period and recovery is quite difficult. But a single device saves the cost. So in some applications, it is preferred. So operation in mode 1 and mode 2, we discussed already. Another realization is a track, a single device. It also needs a snapper across it. Please excuse me for my wonderful drawing. This is RSS number. But here same track is working in positive half cycle as well as in negative half cycle. That's why there is higher chance that this track will develop a hotspot, means a red spot on the device body, and will damage earlier because it is not getting that cooling period. Single device, so junctions are always at a high temperature, high risk. So, but for moderate for applications and low cost applications like uh, lamp dimmer and fan regulator, it works because tracks are available up to kilowatts of the power. So in this realization, this is AC supply and a resistive load. So being bidirectional single element, it is preferred for cost effectiveness. It has certain issues with high rate of rise of voltage, means dB by dt. And as it's a single device, you cannot reduce alpha near to 2 degree or 3 degree. Otherwise, there will be cross conduction if a small portion of inductive load is present in the circuit. So, in case of RL load, tracks are never preferred. In that case, only anti-parallel CRs are preferred. So, I have to clean this. And yes. Okay. So let's study the waveforms for AC voltage controller. Input AC, one cycle, pi for 180 degree, 360 degree. This is alpha, phase angle or firing angle, before which switch is not turned on because at this point we are supplying the gate voltage, small gate pulse. So SCR is turned on or switch is turned on, and this is V0 and this is I0. V0 and I0 are typically considered in phase for R load. Same, apply gate pulse to thyristor 2, load current, load voltage. Is it? This is you studied in second chapter in depth for resistive load. If load is inductive, then same gate pulse 1, gate pulse 2. But the change is at alpha, current rises, load current rises, but the slope is quite different than the slope of input AC voltage because the current will be lagging, as inductor is a fatty element we discussed. So this fatty element will not allow rate of rise of current to be very sharp. So it will be quite reduced. But even current will not go to zero at pi. Though voltage is reversed, inductor will release its energy during a overlap period. This pi to beta is typically known as overlap period and the angle as overlap angle. This portion is a overlap portion, means still current is in the positive. Remember here, next alpha must be up to this point. Otherwise, what will happen? This I1 current will never go to zero. If it never goes to zero, then there will be continuous conduction and we may lose the control. So the condition on this operation is that beta must be less than alpha because here we are conducting both the cycles. This is beta and at this alpha, again the current will rise. Sorry. Current will rise like this and go to 2 pi plus beta to this point somewhere. And so we'll get a waveform like this. And that beta again, because alpha in positive half and negative half is same because the same circuit is controlling the gate pulse in both the cycles, whether it's positive or whether it's negative, not a matter for us. So this is how AC voltage controller acts for RL load in both the half cycles. Let's move ahead. With integral cycle control. We discussed phase angle control where a portion of AC signal is passed to load and so RMS is controlled. Now we'll see another technique where number of cycles passed to load and so the RMS is controlled. See here number of cycles N passed to load, M not passed to load means this you can consider as on period or number of cycles to be passed. This off period of number of cycles not to be passed. If I can measure, this is 1 and 2 cycles are passed and 1 cycle is not passed. So V0 for resistive load as it is, I0 smaller than that, but in phase. And during this period, nothing is happening. This is typical gate pulse at 0 degree. In here, alpha is 0. Because these are control switches, these must be triggered. So these are triggered typically at 0 crossing. Here, no triggering. So nothing is turned on. Again, trigger pulses turned on for 2 cycles, means feed for 2 cycles, don't feed for 1 cycle. Likewise, you can get a control over a integral cycle, means either if you want to supply it fully or don't supply. N number of input cycles to be during which the thyristor is turned on and M during which thyristor is turned off. This thyristor is turned on or off for the full cycle. So where these AC voltage controllers are used? These AC voltage controllers are typically used for R loads, means R load applications are lamp dimmers and heater controls. For RL loads, the applications are fan regulators and induction motor switch controls. And for RL loads, anti-parallel SCR arrangements are preferred. This need to be noted and remembered. Practically, we use IGBTs for moderate and high power applications in AC voltage controller. And very high power applications, we prefer SCR. Okay. This is all about Unit 4. And what we studied is choppers, performance parameters and quadrant operations of choppers, buck boost converters, a brief overview of SLPS, and a AC voltage controller. To solve numericals for this, which can be solved after referring the books and equations given in this presentation. Okay. I hope you gone through, understood, and in case of any doubts, you can write to me on my email rajendra.talware@viit.ac.in at any time. Thank you. Next lecture, we will see Unit 5, Applications of Power Electronics.